On this edition of Falmouth in Focus, the future of beaches and dunes along Surf Drive under discussion, and a beautiful view of a river renaissance dedicated forever to the woman who brought it into being. Those stories and more on Falmouth in Focus, starting right now. Hello and welcome to Falmouth in Focus. I'm Eileen Preston. Michael is traveling and we'll see him again soon. We're going to start with the Falmouth Police and a clarification from Chief Laurie about how the department does and does not interface with federal immigration officials. He made the comments at a recent session of Policing with the People.
And there's one controversial thing I'm going to talk about just briefly. And explain where we're at, because I know everyone, is concerned. Falmouth is gorgeous. It's a beautiful town. I love working here. I love living here. My wife and I having a blast. She's working, at the high school. We really do love it here, and we're busy. And I've been getting a lot of phone calls and emails and meeting requests about ICE and immigration. So I wanted to talk about that just real briefly, to advise what Falmouth Police role is. We know our role. Right now we're dealing with an unhoused tent city in a part of our town where we're dealing with substance abuse, both alcohol and narcotics, needles everywhere, human feces, urine, trash everywhere. It's going to cost thousands of dollars. A hazmat team's going to have to clean up. Prostitution, sexual assaults, you name it. It's happening. And these are the issues we're dealing with our clinicians and with our staff on a daily basis. And we have encampments throughout town. It's a beautiful town. Everyone looks at Falmouth, it's gorgeous, but we do have an underbelly here. We're extremely busy. Just on the night of the day of the windstorm we had, with 37 calls for service. So you've got 6 officers dealing with 37 calls of service, 4,500 people without power. Immigration is not on our radar. That is not our mission. That is the federal government's mission. And I will tell you that some of the people, I can't tell you, hey, this person, because of Massachusetts general law, is a suspect or being charged with rape or domestic violence or these things. I can't tell you that. I can tell you that one of the individuals that ICE picked up here in Falmouth was wanted for homicide in Brazil. I know if one of my family members, and I know if one of your family members was the victim of a homicide, you would want that, if that person fled the country, you would want that country to assist us to bring that person back to be held accountable. So in many cases, when we are contacted, and ICE doesn't always contact us, but when we are contacted, it's to give us a heads up because there's a violent person here and they want to make sure the community's safe. We don't participate in any ICE operations as they don't participate in our local operations with our unhoused down by Depot Street. So what I'm trying to explain is we're here for public safety. So if there's someone out there that potentially could harm you, yeah, we want to be in the area, but we do not participate. They don't always call us, but they do call us sometimes. And the last thing that I'm going to do is inform any organizations that ICE is in town, because I don't want a federal agent or a member of the community injured when they interfere like people did in Worcester when they had that mess over there. So I just wanted to be really clear and explain what the Falmouth Police Department's role is to really serve you folks and the people that are coming to visit and the people that work here. And immigration is not on our radar, but we do want to keep you safe. And I'll give you an example of that. They had a very dangerous person that they wanted to search in a secure area. We let them use our parking lot, right? We would let any agency utilize our parking lot to search someone that they arrested for their safety. We don't want, whether it be a local police officer or a federal agent or a state trooper, we don't want them hurt.
As always, FCTV covered that session of Policing with the People in its entirety. Find ways to watch at fctv.org/watch. Researchers and town leaders briefed residents recently about a feasibility study on preserving and nourishing beachland along Surf Drive. FCTV was there.
What is beach and dune nourishment? Beach nourishment is bringing in sand, gravel, sometimes cobble, just bringing sediment to the beach to build its volume. Oftentimes a storm will come, it will wash over the beach, over the dunes, carry sand into the roadway that needs to be maintained by DPW. Sometimes the roadway may be undermined. Underneath the roadway are utilities that can become vulnerable. And there's also the loss of beach habitat and the loss of beach recreation that comes with that erosion. Any area that is covered in dark blue has a 100% annual chance of flooding. So the condition has been severe for some time. For decades, Falmouth has been managing their sediment, managing their roadways, and having to deal with these issues. In the near term, the town of Falmouth, through a public outreach process, came to the conclusion that beach and dune restoration is their priority to try to do right now. This is maybe the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest way to try to build up the barrier beach. And the erosion that's happening, the first fix to that is, well, we might need more sand. First, we're looking at no action. We always want to look at no action because it's a major investment to go out and do something. And we want to try to have a baseline to compare against. Secondly, we are looking at dune restoration, attempting to maximize as much sand as we can get into the system as possible without impacting the roadway, without impacting the resources. How much sand can we put at that upper beach to build elevation, to build volume? Again, what Surf Drive needs, what a barrier beach needs, is sand to be able to withstand the brunt of storm waves. Third, we're looking at targeted improvements, more of a management technique than an engineering technique. It's essentially taking alternative 2 and placing it where the vulnerability is greatest. So instead of nourishing or restoring the dunes along the 1.5-mile stretch, well, there are some areas that are more vulnerable than others, some areas that are lacking dune more than others. So to maximize the benefit of the town's resources, maybe we restore dunes only in those certain places. The fourth alternative is a managed retreat and phased adaptation approach. There are, when I say phased adaptation, that means we are not saying abandon Surf Drive outright, rip the Band-Aid off all at once. There need to be steps to that. One of those steps could be letter A there, removing the seaward lane of Surf Drive. If you remove the seaward lane of Surf Drive, you create more space, more beach space to build a dune. So in that 4A, we've designed a dune that's maximized. It's as big, as wide, as tall as it can possibly be, while still meeting ecological constraints. And we modeled that to see, is there a greater benefit to doing so? Lastly, 4B, which will come later, there is the consideration of removing both lanes of Surf Drive, converting this road to an oversand vehicle access roadway. So high water levels, high wave events will be expected to wash out whatever project we build. We'll let it go one more time just because it moves really quickly, but you can see the sediment shifting, sometimes moving offshore. You can see the toe of the dune being scarped, and then the peak of the storm comes and overwhelms the dune. So at the end of this event, you can see that the roadway elevation has dropped by about a foot, so we expect the road to be undermined. Understanding that any project that we can build here is temporary, we're now looking further into the alternative 4B, managed retreat alternative, and we're trying to understand what does that mean. So again, I said this earlier, the town of Falmouth is not ripping the Band-Aid off and abandoning Surf Drive anytime soon, but the possibility of that is becoming more clear. And when that happens is a matter of what storms reach us. So at some point, the town of Falmouth will look at its resources and think Surf Drive is can no longer be maintained in the face of sea level rise and storms.
Dr. Betsy Gladfelter has been the central expert, tactician, and rainmaker for a 10-year-plus effort to restore life and beauty to the banks of the Coonamessett River. She also insisted on an outlook area to make the project's beauty and inspiration available to all. Town leaders came out to honor her and designate her legacy for decades to come.
There is, of course, the habitat restoration, the plants and the vegetation and the resulting benefits for insects and birds. the fishery impacts for herring, for sea-run brook trout and eel, the nitrogen uptake and the benefits that has to the Great Pond watershed, and the fiscal benefits that that has for the town and its overall wastewater planning efforts. And of course, this particular project, which enables folks to see it, to walk it, to have the overlook, and to directly engage with all those wildlife resources.
I feel fortunate on behalf of the 300 committee that we were able to work closely with Betsy on many of the elements here. We collaborated on community preservation grant proposals for much of the public access enhancements, much that was really implementing a vision that Betsy Gladfelder had for connecting people with nature and for really bringing to this community a natural resource restoration project that really invited the community in to experience it. It's been an honor to work with Betsy, and I'm thrilled that the town conducted the vote to name this after Dr. Betsy Gladfelder.
I've been walking around this river for the last 70 years, and what's been accomplished here through the dedication of the people of the town of Falmouth and led by Dr. Gladfelder, I personally want to say thank you for what has been accomplished here. This personally means a lot to me as an individual.
Last night, I got a call from the governor's office that the governor is appointing the poet laureate of the Commonwealth today up in Salem. And it was a bill that I had in the legislature, but she enacted it by executive order and wanted me to be there. I said, I can't be there. I've got to be at the dedication of the Dr. Gladfelder Overlook.
Now, in theory, our program offers assistance to communities and partners around the state. But what I quickly realized working with Betsy was that while theoretically we were offering assistance, the reality was that my organization, and the rivers and wetlands were in fact learning from and benefiting from everything that Betsy brought to the river restoration process.
At this time, we'd like to welcome up Joe Netto, Jessica Rittenauer, and Allison Lestian, along with Betsy, for the unveiling of the Dr. Betsy Gladfelder Overlook sign panel.
You see, this is what the project was all about. All of these people in the pictures.
On behalf of the Massachusetts Senate, be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Dr. Elizabeth Betsy Gladfelder in recognition of the town of Falmouth's dedication ceremony of the Dr. Elizabeth Gladfelder Overlook, and be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its best wishes for continued success on behalf of Senator Dylan A. Fernandez.
I've said thanks to all the different groups, the funders, the contractors, the state and local elected officials. And I also mentioned the town of Falmouth does a lot. But what I want to close with is how fortunate we all are to have competent local, state, and federal government officials. They make stuff done. To do this project, and I want to especially call out the town of Falmouth employees. Many of you are here. Some of you have visited before, some of you didn't, even though you got an invitation for a hike. But you're the ones who make these projects in town work. Nobody can realize, none of you can realize all the details that actually go in. And I suppose what several of you have said, that I am persistent, I will come back. But my goal here was to have, well, obviously to improve the environment, and then to have access for all ages and all abilities. And thanks to all of your help, we've been able to do this here in the town.
As long as we're in the beautiful outdoors, let's stop by the Falmouth Farmers Market. The onset of summer means the market is happening Thursdays next to the Falmouth Marina. It's a chance to bring home some fresh food and to plug into a vibrant agricultural community.
Obviously, we got the strawberries, seeing a lot of stuff like rhubarb. You know, we're always growing the hardy things like kale. There's a lot of plants here. Starter plants for anybody who wants their garden right now. Over at Prairie Dog Farm right now, we always have a rotation of strawberries. So what you're seeing here is the early variety of strawberries. We started picking these, oh gosh, like 2 weeks ago. Right now, this week is when they really started to pop off, and now we can't pick them fast enough.
Oh my gosh. So you know we've been fundraising to purchase and preserve a 6-acre farm. We call it the Patch. We have just in the last 2 weeks reached our goal of acquiring all the funds we need to make the purchase. We are beside ourselves with inspiration and appreciation for all the people and banks and organizations and foundations and grants that have supported this project. It really is heartwarming for us to know that there's this much support to get more food growing locally in Falmouth. And it's really important to acknowledge that the sources of this funding, boy, they're really diverse. We have private donors, we have banks, we have foundations. We received $300,000 from the state of Massachusetts to preserve the land. We received $320,000 from the town on the recommendation of the Community Preservation Committee. It's really something.
FCTV had its annual meeting recently, and that's also awards night, a time to say thank you and great job to some members of our community. 2024's Producer of the Year went to Juliana Coughlin. She's been tireless in booking diverse and interesting guests for Runna, her ongoing conversation about running here in New England. Bruce Soule was FCTV's Volunteer of the Year. He's a true jack of all trades, working on not one, but 3 different shows, flexing his abilities as a control room director, field producer, and video editor. And Shipwrecked was recognized as FCTV's Business of the Year. Owner Alex Kahn accepted the award. Shipwrecked is in a great location to catch the finish of the Falmouth Road Race, and it's thanks to their help that FCTV can bring you those finish line shots. Congratulations to all. You may find you're too busy or too tired to watch our shows at their appointed time on cable. No worries. Just about everything FCTV produces ends up on the network's YouTube channel. Here's a closer look from Tony Sedera.
Looking for a front row seat to everything happening in Falmouth? Subscribe to the FCTV YouTube channel and never miss a moment. From important town events and civic engagement to local talent, arts, and everything in between, it's all right here. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when new programs drop. Your support helps keep community media strong in Falmouth. FCTV is a nonprofit and your viewership makes a difference. Whether you're at home or on the go, locally relevant content from FCTV's member producers and production teams is just a click away. By Falmouth, for Falmouth. Don't just watch it. Be a part of it. Subscribe today to FCTV on YouTube. FCTV, where Falmouth comes to connect.
Falmouth's local twist on Comic-Con is coming up at the Main Street Library. The library calls it Cape Con and welcomes all ages to come and enjoy art projects, voice acting coaching, and role-playing games. FCTV stopped by to learn a bit more.
Cape Con is our free Comic-Con event that we will be holding at the Falmouth Public Library main branch. It will be on June 21st. At our opening hours of 10 o'clock. So line up at the door because there's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of workshops, a lot of arts and crafts, a scavenger hunt, and oh yeah, there's a 52-foot gaming truck coming in. in the actual truck is pretty much every single gaming system since 1989. We're starting with the NES, Nintendo original, all the way up to the Switch. We got the newest PlayStation, Xbox, and it's all right there for you. These are an example of the awesome arts and crafts that we really put a lot of work in for Cape Con. For instance, you may recognize these from any Mario Brothers game, if it be the very first one or the latest one. These are called piranha plants, and they pop up on you with fireballs and everything trying to get at Mario. But hey, you know, they're looking around, so watch out. This year we have something called voice acting coaches coming in. Now, voice acting is all the animated cartoons, anime, superhero cartoons, and it's all the voices behind all of those characters. I grew up loving everything that's at the Cape Con. We got superheroes, and we have tons of graphic novels as resources that you can check out. I'm a huge manga fan since I was 9 years old, and so we have a wonderful selection of older things and newer things. And that's also very important to me in the Cape Con. We want to bring together those younger and older folks and different barriers that we think are there, and it's really, we just have this common love of superheroes, either whether it be recent or nostalgic. It brings people together so that they can communicate and find more similarities in their personalities, their demographics. It's for everyone, and we got a whole lot of it at the library just for you guys.
And that's going to wrap this edition. We'll see you later this month with our regular deep dive focus on a single topic. And Micah will be back in the studio soon. For the moment, we'll leave you with some aerial shots of volunteers at the Farming Falmouth Service Garden on Tony Andrews Farm. Harvests are donated to local food banks, and tomato season is right around the corner. We'll see you around town.